in my family, to express our love and affection for one another, I do remember that when I was growing up, my mom would make all kinds of herbal brews and soups that sort of follow traditional Chinese medicine principles. She wanted to make sure that we grew up well and healthy. She would say, oh, eat this food, or sort of drink this tea and soup because it is good for your brain or your heart or your lungs or something like that. And of course, my grandma is a very good cook as well. Being a Nyonya herself, she's very fastidious and very diligent when it comes to cooking. It's regrettable because she passed away when I was in my teens, and so I didn't really learn a lot from her in those days. But there is a part of me that sort of is very fascinated with food and what it can do to relationships, childhood memories, what it speaks about communities, culture and heritage and roots. I found it really, really fascinating. A lot of what I learned about cooking is actually through osmosis. It's really by observing. And of course, if I had questions as well, I could always ask my mum. But my grandma, my mum, and several aunts, several aunties in my family are really, really great cooks. And I remember when I was young, during festive celebrations, say for birthdays or Chinese New Year or Christmas, we would have big dinner gatherings. And the food, there would be a lot of food on the table. And in those days, my aunt would have to do all the cooking herself. So it was a wonderful way to learn that, oh, something tastes so good and it's really home cooked. It's not really bought from outside shops or restaurants or cafes. And I realized that it speaks a lot. And if I don't sort of try to capture some of that myself, it might be lost. For example, when my grandma passed when in my teens, I regretted not learning more when I was younger, like even learning how to sort of make rice dumplings, the pyramidal rice dumplings. In Chinese, we would call it the zhongzi. And so they were wrapped with bamboo leaves and sometimes with pandan leaves as well, depending on what style is used. I regretted not learning that, simple things like that, but it's something that I really enjoy. So what I do now is that I try to capture some of these heirloom recipes. That's also why I've sort of started my own food blog as well, called The Well-Fed Nomad. I find that food is a very good social connector. It sort of builds bridges. It is a gateway to another person's culture. I didn't realize how important the ability to cook is, how important a social skill it might be until I moved to Australia to study and also to work and to live as a migrant. Very frequently, I would organize potluck dinners at my home. And I think potluck dinners are a wonderful way to really share your culture, your cooking with people from other cultures, other communities, other countries. And also, I also get to experience what they cook and what they eat as well. So I think that's really brilliant. I love the idea of sharing food. I think somehow when we begin to break bread together, when we share a meal together, our psychological defenses are lowered. We start to engage in conversations. We sort of build this kind of intercultural understanding. We build bridges as well. Relationships are formed, friendships are deepened, and we begin to exchange views and perspectives about lives and experiences that we would never do if we were to keep these things to ourselves.